going on, family?
Hi.
Are you depressed? Did you just lose somebody in death? There is no reason to grieve 6 months, 6 weeks, 3 months after you lost somebody. It's a strong idea and it's a strong opinion that we have. But if you're still grieving over somebody that you lost in death, you need to stop. Maybe you're offended by that. Maybe you don't understand. But if you believe in the Bible, if you understand the kind of God that we worship, if you worship the God of the Bible, at times it said he was a what? An angry God, right? And if you stopped right there, nobody wants to worship an angry God. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's always angry and frustrated. But if you really got to know God and his personality, what would you think? No. What does it say in the Bible? That we worship a happy God, right? It doesn't mean that God has never gotten angry. We are created in his image, so we experience similar emotions to him, imperfectly, of course. I mean, there is a reason for you to feel depressed and cry when somebody has died, but there is no reason for you to feel that way consistently, day after day, all year long. We've spoken to people who have been depressed over the loss of somebody in their life for years and years. 6 months later, I'm still depressed all day, every day. And the problem is, if you rationalize your emotions, you'll never get out. Meaning, if somebody says, hey, why are you so upset today? Well, I'm upset because I lost my mom. Last month? I mean, how recently? Well, it was 2 years ago, but, I'm still depressed. Oh, okay. And the problem with our society today is that everyone thinks it's okay. Oh, well, that's understandable, Monica. We understand if you lost a parent, you'll never get over that. Oh, you lost your spouse. You're still depressed 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later. That's understandable. I understand. I don't understand how that feels, but you have every reason in the world to be depressed today. If you continue to welcome those emotions into your life, it's not about getting over somebody. It's about moving on with your emotions. It's about moving on to the next chapter in your life. How long have you been stuck in the same chapter? We all have chapters in our life. In this chapter, we were born. In the last chapter of our life, we die. And everything in between. And what chapter did somebody die in your life? Was it your mother, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your cousin, your best friend? What chapter was that? And have you turned the chapter and moved on to the next chapter of your life? Or are you still living that same chapter day after day after day? Are you still reading that same passage day after day after day, reading that again and again and again, reliving those emotions again and again and again? How many times a day are you looking at the photos of the persons that you've lost? Are you listening to the music that makes you cry? Are you talking to people about those that you've lost in death in a negative light? There's nothing wrong with remembering the emotions of those you've lost. But when you're speaking about it in a sense of, Monica, I lost my mom, and I know it's been 2 years, but I'm just really depressed. And if I did that one day because I heard a song, if I did that one time because I looked at a picture, if I did that one time because it was the anniversary of my mom's death, then that's understandable. You'd understand. But if I came to you every day and I said, hey, I just got done listening to the playlist about my mom, I'm crying again, I'm having a bad day, and I did that every day, how would that make you feel?
I think it just takes a toll on everyone that's in your life because you're not you anymore.
Yep.
And all you do is you're depressed and cry all the time about
Yep.
someone that passed away, and we still have the hope in the future, but here you are acting like we don't.
Right.
Like there's still hope, and it's probably hard to even deal with that because when, like you said, when you lost your mom, you know all this stuff, but it's hard to even comprehend because you feel like what just happened, like you just like lost.
Right.
But it also takes a toll with your relationships with you and I. Like, if you were depressed all the time, I don't know how I don't know how
Right.
this would work. Like, I love you, but like, I don't know how I would be able to deal with something like that.
Right.
You know, like, I don't think your mom would want you to be crying all the time
Right.
and depressed over her.
Right.
I mean, you tell me all the time, you know, at least she's resting now. She was in a lot of pain. So you got to think about the positive, not the negative, because she's resting now. So I just think it would have taken a toll on our relationship, and we probably wouldn't even be together, honestly.
So not only are you affecting your own self, your own mental health, your actual physical body, but by you continually grieving over somebody that you lost in death and continuing to rationalize and say, hey, Ryan, Monica, you have no right to say that because I lost my father. You don't know what that's like. Yeah, I lost my mother. She was my everything. I lost my spouse. You don't know what that's like. I lost my sister, my daughter. And you're right. That is a pain that no one could ever compare to pretty much anything in life. Nothing will pain you and hurt you like the loss of the death of somebody, because we're not supposed to feel that emotion. But the reality is we do. So in life, you have a choice. You have the option. When somebody dies, you can die with them, or you can live for them. It's up to you. Now, if you died, would you want your friends, your family, your husband, your spouse, your kids to die with you? Some people make it to age 90 or 100, but they died when they were 20. They died when they were 30. What do I mean? Well, their physical body was alive.
They weren't the same anymore.
But their mind was dead 30, 40, 70 years ago because they never moved on. They've been reliving the same chapter. The book of your life consisted of 3 chapters instead of 100. When you were born, when somebody died, and when you died.
I love the fact, and we said it before, you cannot control the events that happen in your life, but you can always control the meaning that you assign to the events that happen in your life.
Correct.
So if you lose someone, like you said, you can either die with them or you can live for them. I have a friend that, you know, she lost her mother a few years ago, and she said, well, I do get depressed once in a while, I do cry, I miss her so much, but before she passed away, she said she wanted to travel, and she never got to do that because she passed away. So now I'm going to do it for her, and
Right.
when she's in the new world, I'm going to show her everything I did for her.
Right.
You know, and she's like, I'm scared of airplanes, but I'm doing it for her.
Right.
And I just thought that was amazing, an incredible example.
So 2 people can have the same experience to the same event, but one can have a disempowering experience and an empowering experience. Meaning one lights you up, one tears you down. One's good for you, one's bad for you. So perfect example would be my own. I lost my mother, and because my sister and I lost our mother at such a young age, my mom died at 47, she said to herself, okay, I lost my mom, therefore, you should never love anybody because you never know when you're gonna lose them. So don't love anybody too hard, don't get too close with anybody because they can always leave you. That was the meaning that she chose to assign to that event. Now, same event, but I said, hey, you know, I didn't have the kind of relationship that I wished I had with my mother. I didn't speak to her the way I wish I spoke to my mother. Now, I can't change that. But what I can change is the rest of my life and how I interact with every other person I come into contact with. I want to make sure I cherish every relationship with every human being that's truly important to me in my life. So because I lost my mother, I never know when I'm going to lose my wife, so I'm going to cherish every moment that I have with her. Because I lost my mother, I never know when I'm going to lose all the important people to me in my life. Therefore, I'm going to cherish every moment because you never know when you're going to lose them. So appreciate the gift and the miracle of life. My mom didn't know that she was going to die the day that she died. And I don't know the day that I'm going to die. I could die tomorrow. So therefore, the lesson that teaches me is that I need to appreciate right now in this present moment. I need to make the most of each and every day because I never know when it's going to be my last day on earth. And my sister, she felt, hey, because mom died, a piece of me died with her. And my life will never be the same. I'll forever be sad and depressed. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm lost. I have no direction. She was my everything. And I said, hey, because I don't have my mother's guidance, I'm going to choose not my wife's, not my own. I'm going to choose God's guidance every day of my life. I'm going to use my own heart and intuition and brain and experiences and bring that all together with God's guidance and then make my own smart, strategic decisions. And you know what? Maybe I make a mistake, maybe I fail, but you know what? That's always life happening for me. You see, it's up to you, friends. You have complete control over how you want to live your life. Just because somebody died doesn't mean that your life is over. It doesn't mean that now, oops, you were supposed to be happy as long as they were with you. Don't base your happiness on if this happens, then I won't be happy. If-then statements are the quickest way to a miserable life. Well, if I lost my wife, then I'll never be happy. Well, then you'll never be happy. Then I'll never be happy because I could lose my wife tonight. And I know for a fact that you wouldn't want me to live the rest of my life like that. And if I died today, I wouldn't want my wife to live the rest of her life like that. So we're not saying that it's inappropriate to grieve. We're not saying that it's inappropriate to feel sad, depressed, frustrated, angry, fearful, lost, not knowing what to do. But it is wrong, in our opinion, to live there. Jehovah was angry at times. He's angry with what happens in the past, what happens, currently, what's happening in the future. But he's not an angry God. He doesn't live there. That's not his emotional home. It's not my emotional home. It's not yours. It shouldn't be anybody's. But sadly, that's where we've turned to. There's nothing wrong with feeling those negative emotions. But when you're doing it consistently, all day, every day, or on a regular basis, every other day, or on a regular emotional timeline, that's when it's wrong.
I think it's also dangerous because you isolate yourself.
Yeah.
You isolate yourself because you live in this little world where you lost everything and
right.
now and no one wants to be around someone like that. At the beginning it's
right.
fine, you get all the support you need
right.
and everything, but then after a while people know you for, oh, that's the sister that's always talking about, losing someone, or that's the brother, and it's sad, but it does happen because nobody wants to be around negative environment where you're always crying. People want to be happy, you want to live in a happy environment where people are always laughing, grateful, and you don't want to isolate yourself. You want to get past that, and it's probably going to be difficult, but like we said, that person that died probably wouldn't want you to be living like that either, you have the miracle of life.
Right.
Enjoy it. That's a gift.
Right. And if you are depressed and you're still grieving and it's tough for you to hear this, try something that maybe you haven't done in a long time. God gave us this, and it's a gift that so many people, don't use. You have the ability to smile and think about the worst moment of your life, the night you received that call, the night you found out that somebody died, and smile while you're thinking about it. See how long you can stay depressed. Move your arms, sit up straight, get some oxygen into your body. Go on a run, do something different. Change your routine. If you have a bunch of pigeons, it's not about forgetting those in your life, but it's about moving on to the next chapter. What is the next chapter of your life? After this video, I realized I have been stuck in the same chapter. I've been reliving the same moment again and again and again. I need to turn the chapter and write this new chapter of my life. From this moment on, I'm going to go on runs every morning. I'm going to start embracing myself with nature. I'm going to cut off all those negative, depressed people who are doing nothing for me. And I'm going to get around some positive, energetic, happy people. People who aren't just happy 4 hours a week when they're at the Kingdom Hall, but people who are happy on a regular, consistent basis. Get around them. Say, what do you guys do that keeps you so happy? Find somebody who also lost somebody in death and see what they're doing. You don't have to hang out with us to know how we think. You can watch our videos. You can consume our content. You can see, look, I'm living proof. You don't have to live in that place all day, every day. There's no reason for it. Change your environment, change your life. That's such a powerful
It is
example.
true. We can't relate to every single one of you guys that's lost someone. You know, like, I can't relate to losing a son or a daughter. I don't have kids. You know, like, I cannot relate, and I wouldn't know how that feels. And I'm pretty sure it feels really miserable, like, really bad, because you're not supposed to die. Your kids are not supposed to die before their parents.
Right.
But you also have to think you don't want to neglect everybody else in your life. If you have a spouse, if you have other kids, you know,
Right.
that's your responsibility too. It's
Right.
true.
Don't be selfish.
Yeah, that I was gonna say that, but I don't want to sound mean. But
No.
yeah, it's kind of being selfish, because you're living there and boo-hoo for you. You're right there, and everybody feels bad. But then what happened to the other kids? What happened to your husband? You know, like, you have to move on, because you're neglecting everyone else, and you're also neglecting yourself, because you're not taking care of yourself.
Right.
You're showing your kids that when you do pass away, they should be sad too, and they should be crying too,
Right.
and they should live in that little world where they're like, they don't live their life. They died with you. You know, like, I don't think I would want my kids to be the same way too.
Right.
You know, like, it's so sad. It's a lot of pain. I don't think anybody would want that for their kid.
It's selfish for you to continue to live out these negative grieving emotions on a daily, consistent basis. Yeah, we understand you lost your son, your daughter. It was painful. Yes, we understand that you lost your spouse. It was painful. And we understand to a certain extent of, hey, that it is painful, because we've lost people in our life. We've experienced death, plenty of it. But what we don't understand and what we don't agree with is you being so selfish that you're going to tear down your husband or your wife or your other kids or the friends or family or people in a congregation, people at your work, because they need to live their life. You need to live your life. And nobody can move on to the next chapter until we decide that we're ready to not die with that person who you lost, but live and live for them. Live the life that they can't live right now because they're gone. What would they want to do? What would you want to do? What would you want to do with them? Great. Find somebody and do it with them. Do it yourself. Live an amazing life. So depressing that people don't need a reason to be depressed. Why are you depressed? I don't know. I woke up. And it's like other people come up to you and say, I understand. That makes perfect sense. I woke up too today, and my back, my knee, it's rain. It just makes perfect sense. But if you walk around like us and you're like, hi, how are you? How's everything? And you're so excited and happy. People are like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? And you're like, nothing. Well, what are you so happy about? Would you win the lottery? No. Well, you can't just be happy for no reason. Why not? Because you can be depressed for no reason. You don't need a reason to be happy, friends. Choose today, choose wisely, and live the rest of your life for yourself, for the person you lost, and live an amazing, extraordinary life. And be an example, not just for yourself, for them when you see them again, but also for your friends and family and everyone around you. So when they lose somebody in death, they can say, man, I remember your example. Your example is what kept me going when I lost my spouse or my family member, my friend, because I heard that you lost your son, and you know what? You're still a happy, positive person. If you could do it, I could do it too. Be the example, not just for yourself, for the person you lost, but for others as well. We love you guys. Hopefully you can feel that. If you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. If you know somebody who lost somebody in death, share this with them. Show an act of kindness. And of course, if you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye.